Welcome to Epiphany Station, where we do not believe there is such a thing as overkill. We cannot impress upon you hard enough just what it is we're doing in our teaching series. For the next 4 weeks, for a total of 5, starting last week, we launched a teaching series. It's called Shut Your Mouth. And it is one of the most loving series we've ever done. And it might not seem it from the front of it, but the intention, the reason that this series is created is because we believe that, quite frankly, there's more hurt, more evil, more damage in our words than we give time and we give credit to. And we want here at Epiphany Station to love God and to love people, period. And we're going to love them better and better and better. So we want to take a really hard look at the words that we use and, quite frankly, take a hard look at some of the ways that we just use our words wrong, damaging, and evil ways that we use the words that come out of our mouths. So we're going to talk about why we spit venom at people, complaining, gossip, boasting, and lies, with today being the focus on lies. Because words are so much more than just the words coming out of our mouths. What we intend to do is to learn not just what's bad about them and why we shouldn't. Most of us were taught that as we were growing up, and that didn't really take root in most of us. We're going to talk about why they're so bad, why they do so much damage, what is the cause, what is the root of these things. Because we want to love people better and better. There's those of us here today who want to love God better and better. And with our words is one way that we can be doing that. So from experience, you probably know that the words that come out of somebody's mouth, there's something behind that. You know, when someone just snaps and cracks and just goes off on you, it's usually built up and it's from another source. Well, we know that a lot by experience, but it's also kind of to be found in wisdom in the old sections of the Bible, like Proverbs, where it talks about the importance of our words. Proverbs 18:21 actually says that the tongue can bring life or death. Those who love to talk will reap the consequences. We all know people who love to talk, and they will. And that's the problem, is the more we speak, the more people get to know about what's going on the inside of us. So what we want to do is to take each of these things, lies and boasting, complaining, and look at them as symptoms. They're symptoms of something else going on. And that we should maybe, instead of just letting that stuff flow out and spew out, shut our mouths and find out the cause behind the symptom. Because if we can dig down into where that stuff's coming from, really, then we can start to work out a solution. Then we can start to dig it out. Then we can start to deal with it, and God can get to work on it also. So today, we're talking about lies. Last week, we talked about boasting, and boasting and lies are very, very similar in the reason where it comes from. But if you missed the message on boasting last week, you can go to epiphanystation.com. You can find it there under the watch tab. Tab. But today it's lies. Liar, liar, pants on fire. You all know the song. One-hit wonder. Having your pants on fire, just side note, is much worse in England than having your pants on fire in America. If any of you know the difference between what pants mean where I come from versus here, you'd prefer to have your pants than my... Anyway, I'll leave that to you. Search it, but only do Google safe searches. But a lie is a false statement made with the deliberate intent to deceive. It's not an accident, and it's not even actually often speaking out of ignorance. It is a decision that is made to remove truth and replace it with deceit. And I think that is probably the reason that for all of these symptoms we're going to talk about in this series, this is the one we usually hate the most. Because this one, it feels like an attack. When we're the recipient of a lie and we find out, that feels downright awful. So when we see it, we hate it. When we realize it, we hate it. We hate it in politics. We hate it on eBay. We hate it on Craigslist and Tinder. We hate it in our marriages. We hate it when we're being parented, and we hate it when we're parenting. We hate it in the church, and we definitely hate it in sports competitions. Hashtag Barry Bonds. Hashtag Lance Armstrong. Hashtag Deflategate. Vikings have never done anything wrong. So we know lying's a bad thing, right? No one in this room, actually, does anyone want to stand up and argue the point on this one? Lying, good thing? Good thing. Good. So we all know it's a bad thing. Baseline level stuff that most of us learn at some point in childhood. Bad thing, don't do it. So why does it keep happening? Why do people make their careers out of being a con artist? Why do we still get emails from the Prince of Nigeria? He doesn't have a metric ton of diamonds he needs to move with your help, but he's sending you the emails nonetheless. Why do we get lied to, and why do we continue to feel the need, feel the desire to want to lie? Well, my theory is that when we want to and we do it, I think we don't realize what we're doing or how bad and destructive lying is. So long before we can get into the here's how to stop, here's why to stop, I want us to understand fully the damage that can be done, the destruction that can be wrought when lies are in play. So in a minute I'm going to show us a video. And I just want to preface the video by saying it's a disturbing video to watch. It might be very difficult for some of you, and you might want to leave, you might not, but I just want to trust me on this one. It might be very difficult if you have kids or you've not really grown up at all, ever. But when lies are at the root of the scene, well, when they're uncovered, we start to see what happens. Tough to watch, I know. That's from the thriller, Elf. The reason that lying is so bad is because the best case scenario is it stays here, and only I know about it, or God knows about it. The worst case scenario is that. I don't remember which one now. Best case scenario, only me and God know about it. Worst case scenario, everyone knows about it, and the damage that lies cause is to erode trust. It's to erode a relationship because you have personally attacked the person that you have told a deceit to. So for us to understand the gravity and the weight of lying, we're going to work with the wisdom of and the advice of a guy called Peter. Peter features in the Bible in numerous instances. He's one of the most famous followers of Jesus Christ. He's one of the first to start following. And in fact, Jesus says that he's going to give Peter charge of starting the church once Jesus leaves. Peter's this really important person. In fact, the Catholics call him the first pope. We call him Peter, but still, he's still super important. And the reason that we're going to use him is not just because of his importance or his fame. It's because what he says about lying and what he knows about lying. In 1 Peter, which is a letter that he wrote, turned into a book in the Bible, for us to understand this, 1 Peter, he says, the scriptures say, if you want to enjoy life and see many happy days, keep your tongue from speaking evil and your lips from telling lies. Peter basically lays forward the kind of truth that parents, grandparents, police have been laying down for decades and centuries. Don't lie. Just don't do it. It's bad. If you want to be happy, right? Don't do it. Stop it. The problem we have with that is that's not enough. Most of us sitting in here have been told, don't do it. Stop it. It's bad. Yet for some reason or another, from the first time we heard that, we didn't follow it. We didn't either believe it or we chose that lying's a better option than not. And the reason I want to use Peter as our source today is because of what Peter knows about lying. Now, amongst other things, Peter's like the guy that Jesus called to walk on water, and Peter's the one that made the great declaration that Jesus, you are the Son of God, and he was given the charge of leading the church and feeding the church. But Peter's past, Peter's history is not all so shiny. In fact, Peter told one of the greatest lies to be recorded ever. And it's really upsetting for the guy, quite frankly. It's when, people find that their worst 3 minutes in their entire lives gets onto YouTube and they're kind of done. But Peter, recorded in the Bible, tells a massive, massive lie. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Because you see, when Jesus was on his way out, he said to all the believers, look, I am going to leave soon, and it's not going to be pretty when I do, because they're going to hate me so much. They're going to whip me, torture me, abuse me, accuse me, and then kill me. And you guys, in the face of that, you're going to want to flee. You're going to want to run scared. You're going to forget who you are and who you belong to. Peter, being Peter, says, no, 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 not me. Surely I, me, would not do such a thing. To which Jesus turns directly and says, Peter, by the time the rooster crows, you're going to tell people you don't know me, that you don't even know who I am. 3 times you're going to declare it openly. And he does. To the final point, being so enraged by it, he says, a curse on me if I'm lying. I don't know the man. This is Peter. Now, somewhere along the line, the damage that was caused by that lie changed Peter. And God changed Peter to become the follower he then was. So when he talks about lying and keeping your tongue from evil things, he knows what he's talking about. He knows what it does. So what caused Peter to lie? He's been walking with Jesus for like 3 years. He probably knows lying's a bad thing. He's probably been told. Jewish law says don't do it. What caused him to lie in that moment? When his leader and his savior and his teacher and his rabbi is just laying bloody pulp on the floor, why did he lie about even knowing him? I think there's 2 main reasons. Fear and shame. And I think fear and shame are the root cause of lies. Fear and shame are the reason and the motivation and the drive behind why we tell lies instead of telling the truth. You think of Peter, he's a follower of the man who is being accused and is soon going to be killed. There's a very real fear in the moment from attaching yourself to such a person. So when he's asked, do you follow that guy's teachings, what he said, who he claims to be? Peter's fear isn't a fear of people. He says, no, that's not me. I don't know him. I think that same fear drives us often. When we don't know who we are, when we don't know who we belong to, we don't know where we get our identity and our esteem from, we can be driven by fear to lie. Sometimes we fear the consequences of what we've done. We fear being found out. We fear being punished. We fear being thought less of. We fear being abandoned. And when all you've got is people, they'll abandon you sometimes. And they'll punish you and they'll hate you because of the things you've done wrong. So fear drives us to lie about it, to keep it hidden. You also think of what else drove Peter to lie was the shame. He'd put all his eggs in one basket, Jesus Christ. Left everything, his job, his family, everything, and put his entire reputation on Jesus being who he said he is. Now he's laying on the floor. Now he's been stood up and slapped. Now he's been having a crown of thorns put on his head. Now he's been whipped and beaten. Now he's been made to look weak and foolish. And Peter's ashamed. He's either ashamed of Christ or he's ashamed of himself for following him. And that shame has driven him now to lie about who he is. I think shame drives our lies a lot. For whatever reason, we've made decisions in the past. We carry things with us. We have current struggles. And the shame of those things that we feel owns us, that we can't let other people see or know about, we have to lie. We have to hide it. There are also things that we dream about and that we want to pursue and that we desire and that we have passion for. Good things. We're ashamed to tell anyone. We can't let people see. We can't let people know because of shame. So we hide it. We hide it with the only tool we have, which is lies. Lies are a temporary fix to a circumstance that we really, really hope will be a permanent solution, but rarely are. And the reason I know that lies are not good and not going to be good is because I don't know anything good that comes from fear and shame. I don't know anything good that is produced out of a person that is afraid of others or ashamed of who they are. Things tend to be made worse. But what I want to do for you today, and just to clarify a few things about lying, is I want to tell you what the worst effect is. The very worst thing that happens to us when we lie, when we choose lies instead of truth. Because whether you're here and you're a believer in God, maybe a new believer, career believer, maybe you're just here to check this whole thing out, I need you to know what happens when we lie. That small excerpt that we had from Peter earlier on that said, you want to have happy days, then don't lie. It's actually a small chunk from a larger piece in which he speaks about what we're called to do if we want to love God and love people. And he speaks to what it means for us to be people that do not go one way, but go another. And he puts it in that context. He starts off in this first chunk I'm going to read, talking about, okay, you want to follow God? Here's what he's asked of you. He says, finally, all of you who want to follow God, who want to believe in Jesus, want to love God, want to love people, all of you should be of one mind. Sympathize with each other. Love each other as brothers and sisters. Be tender-hearted. Keep a humble attitude. Don't repay evil for evil. Don't retaliate insults when you're insulted. Instead, pay them back with blessing. That is what God has called you to do, and he will grant you his blessing. He prefaces everything with that of this is what we're supposed to look like. This is how we love well. Then he goes into his chunk which says, if you want to enjoy life, see many happy days, keep your tongue from speaking evil and your lips from telling lies. Turn away from evil and do good. Search for peace and work to maintain it. And then Peter drops the hammer. Then he gives us the why it's so important, so much more important than we ever give credit. He says, the eyes of the Lord watch over those who do right, and his ears are open to their prayers. But the Lord turns his face against those who do evil. Peter calls on the carpet what lying really is. It's not just offensive to us. It's not just offensive to other people. It's offensive to God. If you want to love God, you want to love people, you want anything to do with that kind of relationship, lying has no place in you. We seek to do everything we can to move further and closer towards God. And when we choose evil things, when we choose lies, it's not a neutral decision. It's not just a thing between me and the person I lied to. It's so much bigger. And the worst effect is, the calamitous result is the damage that causes in our relationship between us and God. Because what we're choosing to do is turn away. And when we choose to turn our back on God, he chooses to turn away also. So what I want us to do as we look at this very heavy topic, I want us to think of ways that we see change happening. Things that we can do to move away from lies and move more towards truth for the love of God, for the love of people. So we have ESTAT Next Steps. It's something that we do every week. We believe that the Bible is applicable now, relative now. And we don't want to walk out of here just having a conversation, but we've given everyone something to go and do. So the first step to this week is to shut your mouth in the most loving way possible. Just shut your mouth. More often than you ever have in your entire life. Especially when you feel the need to lie. When you feel the need to cover something up, be it out of fear or shame, just shut your mouth. In that instance, the very best thing you can do is stop the lie from coming. Stop the lie from stepping out of you and into the world. So we shut our mouths. Because the damage that is caused is not just if it's found out. The damage caused by a lie is immediate. Even in the best case scenario, is immediate. And Peter knows what that looks like. Peter knows how that feels. Going back to the courtyard that Peter is in, as his master, as his savior is being whipped and beaten, accused and belittled. And he's questioned again and again and again. Do you follow that man? Do you know that man? It shows us what Peter's immediate reaping is of his lies. In Matthew 26, the historical narrative, it says, Peter swore finally. He said, "A curse on me if I'm lying. I don't know the man." And immediately a rooster crowed. Suddenly Jesus' words flashed through Peter's mind. Before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times. You will deny that you even know me. And Peter went away, weeping bitterly. Best case scenario, worst case scenario. The worst case scenario of any lie is that it is found out. It is revealed to everyone, and everyone knows about the lie. And your relationship is damaged with someone. The trust you once had is gone. Best case scenario, no other people ever find out about it. Yet still, you know about it. And yet still, God knows about it. And the weeping bitterly is not that Peter was found out, but he realized what he'd just done. He realized that he turned, not towards Christ, not towards God, not towards truth, but he turned to lies. And that tore him up from the inside. And it tore his relationship to God. So when we have that opportunity and we feel it brewing, I don't know how to answer this question, I don't know what to say in this post, shut your mouth. Just shut it. The very best thing, the number one thing. Start there. The next thing we do is we have to have a change. Something has to happen for us to remove this desire for lies, to remove this propensity, this tendency to want to lie. We have to make a decision. Our next step is to turn to truth. Because just as lies are a decision to uphold deceit, to turn from God, to turn from people, we can make the decision to turn to truth. Jesus, when confronting liars, tended not to pull a punch and to show people how it is not a victimless crime and how lying is not a neutral decision. He said this to a bunch of liars. He said, "You are the children of your father, the devil, and you love to do the evil things he does. He was a murderer from the beginning. He has always hated the truth because there's no truth in him. When he lies, it is consistent with his character, for he is a liar and the father of lies." Jesus lays it on with a trowel. You have to understand the decision to lie is not walking straight. It is the decision to turn in one direction, which takes you towards the very worst thing. Whether you're a believer in the devil or Satan or not, the way that Jesus depicts this is he uses personified evil, the very worst thing ever thought about in mankind, that caused more destruction and pain ever. He's the father of this thing. He is the owner, he is the possessor, he is the purveyor of lies. So when we choose it, we choose to turn from what we might want to do in loving people or loving God. We turn and we walk the way that the very worst thing in the world wants us to walk. So when we're turning to truth, it's not going from neutral to forward. It's going from reverse to forward. And we have to choose one. Am I going to, for the rest of my life, live out of fear and shame and hide that as best as I can and know that it's not going to stay hidden? Or am I going to take the leap to turn towards truth, to own truth, to speak truth without succumbing to fear and shame? Dealing with the consequences, dealing with people, but knowing that I am a person that is going to follow God in truth. Our solution to lies, the cause, the symptom is the lies. The cause of being the fear of shame. The solution is to know that you are not identified by that fear and shame. That does not get to own you forever. You can choose a different identity. You can choose to have your identity in the character of Christ instead of the character of the father of lies. You can choose to be loving or to be hateful. You can choose to be forgiven or to be hiding. That is our choice. Because we have all done things. Everyone in this room, we have done things that we wish we hadn't done. We have seen things we wish we hadn't seen. The only decision you get to make is today, how will I respond to that? In truth or in lies? When we make that decision for truth, that is when we get to open our mouths again. That third step of shutting your mouth, turn to the truth, you then get to open your mouth. And the reason for that is we're not here to make you talk less. This entire series is not to send people out into the world that have to keep their mouths shut. The intention is to send people out there with a voice for good. with a changed voice, one that they are going to be able to do more good and show more love than ever before. That when I step into my house, from learning this from God and from understanding this, I'm going to be better at loving my wife, better at loving my kids, because I'm going to have the words that are truth rather than things that are built out of hurt and shame and fear and pride that are going to cause lies and hurt. The reason that we're going to open our mouths is because the proverb we started with is the same in the positive and in the negative. When it says that the tongue can bring death or life, and when it says those who love to talk will reap the consequences, it also means when you love to talk truth, you will reap the consequences. You will see more of a development in your relationship to God and knowing and understanding more of the truth. You will start to develop relationships with people who are also about love and truth and peace. If you become the source. Because we don't get to change other people. All we get to change about where we are and what we're doing and who we're around, and our relationships and our church and our workplace, is what I do. It's what you do. You get to make the call every time you open your mouth. Am I going to bring good and love and truth? Am I going to bring lies? Now, this does not give you carte blanche for walking down the street and saying, yo, that shirt be ugly. That's not what I'm saying. Pastor said it's okay to tell you, hair sucks. That's not what I'm saying, because I don't need that. What I'm saying to you is, start to be on the lookout for where do you have opportunity and responsibility for opening your mouth for truth. Where do you have opportunity? Easiest things would be your family, your kids, your spouse, all the people that are closely connected to you. Those are your opportunity. Where else have people invited you in to speak truth? Where have other people asked your opinion on the decisions they're making? What other avenues do you have to bring truth to people that might not be getting it from anywhere else? Where also is your responsibility for truth? Where do you, against the grain, against the tide, need to stand for truth and challenge lies? These are the things that we want to go out here from, is with people more fired up for truth than ever before, more vocal about it and to it. One of the things that we love to know is kind of how you're seeking to go out from here and do something with it. So I want you to have one thing in your mind when we talk about opening your mouth. I want you to think of a person or a people or a group that you feel you have opportunity or responsibility with to speak truth to. I want you to visualize them. I want you to think about them right now. That's your avenue to go out into the world and change things. It also might be for you time to confront a lie you've told with the truth. Now, these things aren't easy, and we're not claiming them to be. We would love to support you any way we can. We would love to know who or what and where you're thinking of doing this. If you would be willing to tell us, we'd love to pray for you, with you, speak to you, advise you, whatever we can, with whatever resources we have, because we love the truth so much. If you're willing to, you can let us know on your connection card that you want to talk to someone, or just let us know what you're planning to do so we can support in any way, shape, or form. Your connection card is a slip of paper on the program that you were handed as you walked in. You can tear that away, and you can use that in as much detail or as anonymous as you want, but drop it in the red box on your way out so we know how we can help support you in your decision to open your mouth for truth. Would you guys please pray with me? Father God, we thank you that you are a God of truth. And we just come before you quite honestly and humbly say that we have a tendency not to be. That we desire lies. We desire hiding things out of shame or of fear. And we ask for your help in not letting that be our identity. We don't want to be known as liars. We also don't want to be known as being and feel that we're ruled by fear and shame. So we ask for your work. We ask that we would be open and we'd be willing to stand for truth so you can speak truth to us. We ask for whoever it is that you may be pushing us and prodding us towards, speaking the truth to, for their benefit, for our benefit, for your benefit, that you'd give us the courage to do so. But God, to do it, we just need to own up to the fact that we don't know how to perfect this, these relationships with each other or relationship with you. And we just need to let you take control. So we ask that you'll help us do that. We ask that you'll help us give up the pride or the arrogance that we have this, that we can control this, and instead of working for it on our own, working for it with you, alongside you, where you're going ahead of us. In Jesus' name we ask. Amen.